I wanted to bring you on anyway. A couple months ago, I was thinking about it because I'm starting to think of the people we had, the first 20, 30 episodes. And I'm like, who would be cool to bring back on and just kind of do a checkup with them? And then it was not days later, I see a sign saying that you're running for city council. So that's kind of what we want to tackle in the first of this. Okay. I want you to really tell people who you are. I think, and I think people that know you probably know what you do to counter sex trafficking, and which I think is amazing, and we could talk about for 4 hours. But what I really want to talk about in the beginning of this, and we'll see how long it goes, is who are you? Why are you a good leader? Why would you be a good candidate? What's your background? And I know a lot of it. I wrote some notes down so I can make sure I hit the stuff I want to hit. But yeah, dude, that's really my purpose today, is I want people to really get to know who you are. Because I think that's why someone should vote for anyone, right?
I agree.
And let me kick this off a little bit, and then I'll have you take over.
Okay.
So one of the things that I've noticed with your campaign, and it's obviously it's I don't know if it's your life. I don't know if that's the right way to put it. But it consumes a lot of your time is protecting children, right? So your signs are kind of geared towards that, which I think is great. And that's your background. That's who you are. But what I really want to get into is, this guy's got a PhD, master's degree, PhD, runs a nonprofit, runs businesses. You have to be very methodical about your everyday actions and all of the positive attributes that you could bring towards city council and the power that city council has. And basically what it's more than just voting in, it should be more than a popularity contest, right? Like we should be voting on what we believe what your heart is, and I believe I know your heart. And so that's why
we go back a ways.
Yeah. So that's where I'm like, I really want to get you on, and I want people to know that side of you. So maybe I'll kind of hand it over to you and talk about why city council. I know you're busy. You're all over the place, doing what you do for work, and I'll kind of just let you take it over.
Okay. All right. Thank you. It was a generous introduction. I would feel the same way. I know your heart. I wouldn't be on here with you a second time if I didn't trust you. So I appreciate the confidence. I am a reluctant city council candidate. And on the candidate side also, just in full disclosure, I don't have my PhD yet. I'm a PhD candidate.
Okay.
So I've done all my coursework. Now I'm just working on my dissertation, which is focused on studying the link between counter-human trafficking and foreign terrorist organizations. And, that's my life. That kind of research. I'm a PhD level researcher, and I dissect things differently than most. But anyway, regardless of that, I am a city council candidate for St. George. I really am doing this reluctantly. Just also in the full disclosure, I don't like bureaucracy. I don't like playing in bureaucracy. I recognize that there's a need for service that has to happen. And yeah, the city council members make a little bit of money, but it's going to cost me money to be a part of this. And it'll kind of be a trade-off. Like I'll be in my meetings and I'll get paid a little bit, but about that same amount is what I'll be paying my employees to go work in my spot during those times. And so it's a trade-off. And, but I feel like our values that have truly made this area so great, so amazing, so wonderful. And it's my wife's family, the MacArthurs and Woodburys, and they saved my life basically. And it's like, there's no way there is any place on this earth that can give me the joy that I've had here, and raising my children in that, letting them grow up in their legacy, because, they're part of the original founders. It's their legacy, so to reconnect them to that has just really been truly amazing. And that legacy of the Dixie pioneers from the Dixie Cotton Mission, it's just the theme. It's like a mascot, they saw those that were picking cotton as hard workers and committed to make it work. And that's why they were doing that. And so those values were one, faith. Then it was patriotism, hard work, personal responsibility, and sacrifice. And I saw that. I felt it from my wife's grandfather. He instilled that in me. He's the only grandfather figure I ever had that actually told me he loved me. So I just loved this guy. It's Thomas MacArthur. Most people knew him as Uncle Tom, but for me, it's Grandpa Tom.
Yeah.
Anyway, and he's my hero. I want to be like him. When I'm serving in my church calling with the young men, I'm thinking like what things that he did, just being there, lifting, raising the value of these young men and stuff. And that's who I am. But those values, when we moved down here in 2012, my wife and I were married in the St. George Temple back in 99. And we lived here off and on. We were vacationing here a couple times a year. And we decided in 2011 we were going to just live the Red Rock lifestyle and raise our children. And then, so we created a festival called Dixie Legacy Celebration. The sesquicentennial wagon train was coming in, and I actually needed a project for my bachelor degree, and I got it approved to create a festival, and we called it Dixie Legacy Celebration. And I mean, we had so many meetings, so much time into this, and I focused that celebration around those principles of faith, patriotism, hard work, personal responsibility, and sacrifice. That's what it was. And then we ended up having 10 hours of stage entertainment. The Vernon Wortham Park was surrounded with anything and everything pioneer, and we were literally locking in the values. Okay, so that's important for you to understand when it comes to Dixie. It's not just verbiage I'm using. I own it in my heart, and I've sacrificed making that happen, and I've published a document on everything that we did in there, and all the committees and people that were involved in it and stuff like that. And then when the next thing I want people to know about me is I am a constitutional purist. And when I say that, I don't just say it like, oh, I like the Constitution, I'll put a picture up of it. No, I read it and study it, and there's a piece of me that I almost like would say I have testimony of it, if you will.
Sure.
And I believe that George Washington and the other founders were absolutely inspired by God to create it. It's the greatest formula of freedom the world has ever known. And they didn't just find it laying on the ground. They researched all the other nations and what worked, what didn't work, and they knew that that it was in a republic form of government that would have our ultimate freedom. It was a rule of law mixed with the people being able to decide who was going to be their representatives, and that would govern the rule of law. And that's what we have, and that's the way it should be. And they warned us too. They said that I believe it was Benjamin Franklin that said that that a democracy is two wolves and a sheep deciding what's for dinner. People misunderstand what that would be. That would be mob rule, right? And so there's a rule of law. We need to have laws in place that work, that uphold our values, and we can do that in our ordinances in the city. And that's where I'll be focusing is helping realign those values to protect our city and not only that, I believe in the values so strongly that I think we should shore them up and solidify them throughout our community. And then we need to impose them on other communities.
Yeah.
And some people might be like, oh, no, we shouldn't impose anything. Well, if you don't impose what's good, then those who are adversarial to what's good will be imposing their values upon you.
Yeah.
So there's no fence sitting anymore.